All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, but fair warning, we're doing things a bit differently today. Think of this as a briefing. We're cracking open a highly classified dossier together. Case File 1716A. We are going to reconstruct the final known hours of an artifact that has literally swallowed up every historian and treasure hunter who ever dared to chase its shadow. It's a heavy one, folks.
Now, before we really pull the thread on this file, you got to understand the sheer, staggering value of what was lost here. $500 million. That's the estimated modern value of the Amber Room. Just let the absolute weight of that figure sink in for a second. $500 million. But here's the kicker, and what I really want you to take away from this briefing. The money? It's honestly the least interesting part of this whole case. The gold, the gems, they're really just the bait.
Because what we're actually digging into today is this. What is the psychological price of an unsolvable mystery? We aren't just going on a treasure hunt tonight. We are examining the obsession, the thick, heavy paranoia, and the incredible psychological vulnerability that breaks almost every single person who touches this dossier. Look, when an artifact of this magnitude just vanishes off the face of the earth, it creates a vacuum, and that vacuum pulls people in, totally consuming years, sometimes decades of their lives.
Which brings us to Section 1, the eighth wonder vanishes.
So, here's how it started. 18th century. The Amber Room was an entire chamber, quite literally built out of brilliant gold and intricate amber panels, originally given as a gift to Peter the Great. People called it the eighth wonder of the world. Then the timeline just drops into total darkness. In 1941, invading Nazi forces find the room. With terrifying, brutal efficiency, they ripped the entire chamber apart in just 36 hours. They crated it up and shipped it straight to Königsberg Castle. And then we hit the final data point, 1945. Allied forces are closing in on the castle, and the room simply vanishes. Poof, gone, hasn't been seen since.
Let's look at Section 2, 3 Cold Case Theories, Hunting Shadows.
For decades, investigators have basically thrown themselves against a brick wall with 3 maddening dead ends. First up, the secret bunker theory. This one claims the panels were smuggled out and hidden deep in a classified subterranean vault somewhere in the Ore Mountains. Second, the destruction theory. This argues the room never even left Königsberg. It was just blown to pieces by bombs. And finally, the darkest of the 3, the Brotherhood connection. This points to a highly coordinated, incredibly sinister relocation by the SS.
I want to zoom in on that third theory for just a second, because it throws a genuinely terrifying variable into the mix. There are these rumors, right? Whispers of a secret society operating deep within the SS, known only as the Order. Supposedly, this rogue sect was specifically tasked with classified, completely off-the-grid relocations of ultra-high-value artifacts. If the Order actually had their hands on this, it means they systematically wiped the Amber Room from every map in existence, burying it under impenetrable layers of redactions and absolute silence.
And that leads perfectly into Section 3, the madness of the hunt. Chasing ghosts.
Okay, so on one hand, we've got the historical reality supporting the destruction theory. It's 1945, and massive RAF bombings completely level Königsberg Castle. Nothing but fire and rubble. Logically, sure, it makes perfect sense the room burned. But you have to weigh that fiery logic against some incredibly frustrating counter-evidence. When investigators actually went in and sifted through the ashes of that castle, they found 0 fossilized amber residue. Absolutely none. Think about it. An entire room made of highly combustible fossilized resin should have left a massive chemical signature in that ash, but there was nothing. It's exactly this agonizing lack of closure, these totally contradictory facts, that drives the people investigating this absolutely mad. And because the destruction theory doesn't give us any physical proof, investigators are forced to go underground. I mean, literally. For the folks who buy into the secret bunker theory, the hunt becomes this grueling, intensely physical descent. This isn't just sitting in a library reading old papers. It means dragging yourself down into heavy, damp, suffocating salt mines. It's forcing your way through rusted iron doors that haven't been opened in 80 years, squinting under the flickering light of old incandescent bulbs. The physical environment out there perfectly mirrors the psychological weight of the case itself. It's dark, it's heavy, and it feels endlessly bleak.
Section 4, Descending into the Vault, the Final Hours.
Let me read you a quote that really captures what these hunters are desperate to find. The thick glow of ancient fossilized resin pulsing against cold, gray concrete. Just imagine the cinematic, almost noir feel of that moment. Mentally place yourself there. You're making this slow, heavy push down an underground stone hallway. You stumble upon a massive, rusted iron vault door, just slightly cracked open. You shine your flashlight into the pitch black, and as the beam hits the back wall, you are just praying to see it. A single, intricately carved amber panel, pulsing with this warm, golden light, right in the middle of all that gray, decaying concrete. That exact mental image, that is what keeps the obsession alive.
But man, the reality of the hunt is so different. In reality, you are completely, utterly isolated in the damp, dark. The air down there is thick. It's choking with dust motes and cold mist. There's no golden glow waiting for you. There is only the sound of this low-frequency hum, freezing water dripping from a ceiling you can't even see, and distant echoing metal. You are literally down there chasing a ghost, hunting the eighth wonder of the world in a place where history was deliberately buried alive. It takes a massive toll on the psyche.
Which brings us to the end of today's briefing. Now that you've seen the unsealed facts, you know the contradictory timelines, and you've felt the weight of those maddening paranoid theories packed inside this dossier, there's really only one question left to ask. Are you ready to shoulder the crushing burden of Case File 1716-A? Honestly, do you have the psychological fortitude to step into the dark, push open that rusted door, and take on this hunt yourself, knowing full well it might just swallow you whole? Something to think about. Until our next explainer, keep your eyes open and trust nothing.